Minions of capital. What do you want?
One more time, Mr. Droz, the Colonel. We need to talk about you killing him.
Petty bourgeois law. This is all you care about, right? The only thing in the world for you types.
Well, it's more about preventing a civil war type scenario between Grenelle and the Union, but...
A drop of blood in the saliva. Tear into him again. Pile it on him.
There were Maybells behind the victim's window.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them. So many this year, too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away.
I haven't seen these flowers anywhere else in Martinaise, only here.
They blossom on the islets before. We fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it.
South, the Bay of Martinaise is dotted with little freckles of islets, turning green, with white flowers in white snow.
The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may.
A curious tremor passes his face. A young woman named Clausia, ring any bells? These dried flowers were behind her window.
Clausia.
You know her, right? She had intimate relations with the victim, the mercenary.
With the victim.
He turns his sight from the withering field of flowers and falls silent. Then the muscles in his jaw twitch, a spasm.
There is a small tremble. Looks like a smile. A crooked smile. Yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst.
I wonder what brand of boots you're wearing.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the soles, please, Mr. Droz.
Fucking imbecile.
The old man stretches out his leg. A black and white spiral pattern covers the sole of the worn-out old running shoes on his feet.
The maker is Sensorique. The model is Cordobe, and the size is 43. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned soles you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the sole.
Wait, maybe it's simpler than that?
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
People change shoes. It doesn't mean you weren't there, near the room the victim died in, sneaking around.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
The lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood.
He was a rapist. I'm not saying he didn't deserve it.
Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
So you shot him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
You can almost see him squeeze a tear out of his eye. His fists begin to tremble from the anger.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling. While the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
Let's hold our breath as well.
I had them in my sights. Both of them. Him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase. And I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth.
He begins to smile.
I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death, and that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her.
Then what?
Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white, or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
The lieutenant asks after a second of silence.
Yes.
A single word is all he gives.
And you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The lieutenant takes out his notebook slowly, very slowly.
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
He shrugs, then smacks his lips.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
Why were you looking at them that night?
I'm always looking.
He cocks his head to the side, then turns his eyes to the city. Another tremor passes his right side, lower in intensity.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle scope has the best magnification.
Helps him see all the shit.
And if you don't like it?
Click.
If it's part of the shit you see,
Then you pull the trigger?
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift.
what specifically did you not like about what you saw the night of the murder?
Them. Fucking. I didn't like that.
So you were jealous?
Jealousy is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself. Drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore.
For him to stop reacting to stimuli, to be broken off from the world, cordoned into darkness.
And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything.
How long had you been watching her?
Since she came to Martinez. I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Feld building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have a skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Feld building on the coast? What was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared.
And beautiful.
What do you think she hid there?
Her passport and tickets to Villiers. And from there to Cachet Brut.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
Some kind of hidden container on the coast? You looked into it?
Yes, after she'd gone. It was a submersible. Well made, actually.
Sloppy, we should have gotten her to tell us about this. Did you take the documents?
No, I put them back. Why would I take them? I'm not going to phone. Oh, I mean...
Moving on, did you continue watching her after this?
I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook from the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises, you can't make that out in a scope.
And you could see her bruises through the scope of her rifle.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
How does he know those minute details about her body? Okay, come on, we should be able to get that roll.
It quickly
go.
comes to you.
The bruises on her body, any chance you've seen them through a hole in the wall?
Oh, yes. Cutting those drugs of hers into little lines with a knife. Masturbating.
Everything in him fills with impossible longing, all at once.
Did you make that hole?
With a clip point knife.
Good for listening in, too. For hearing the moaning and the snorts.
Ever see her through a window on a roof?
Like that, too. Yes. Bending like a bow against the glass.
You've been through the secret route behind the whirling rags. Those were your footprints there. You just changed your shoes.
I've been through all of Martinez. Every nook and cranny.
And that too.
Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room. What she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
He keeps shaking his head.
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
Oh yeah.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
He points toward the whirling in rags.
Andy found use for it. A spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
Did you have feelings for that woman?
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know.
Have there been others?
Yes, over the years. It's not unproletarian to feel something.
Was that why you left the dried flowers behind her window?
No,
Then why?
I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of our room on the floor, like she does sometimes.
When was this?
The day after I killed him.
And you brought her Maybells?
Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do anymore.
You wanted to console her, you wanted to manipulate her, say nothing. Honestly, I could be either with that guy. I'm not sure if there was bad intent behind that. He seems not, not quite there at this point. He's probably gonna respond better to the consoling her thing.
Maybe. I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you.
A sudden pang of rage.
If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
He wipes his eyes.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more. One more down.
So in conclusion, it wasn't about him, it was about her.
Her.
He repeats, staring at the ashes. Then the reed. There's a twitch in the corner of his eye.
You hear a low-frequency hiss, barely, beneath the audible spectrum. Then it's gone. The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where
Very
is
good.
she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days.
She got away, we don't know where she is. She got away, but she led us here first. She figured out someone was watching her from the sea fort. We arrested her. I'm not at liberty to say. She...
Gone.
Yeah.
I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week at the island, like she knew. She'd look at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
Midtown, across the Bay of Revachol, the oceanic wind washes 40-story towers. Above them, Lucerne Central Aerodrome, a cocoon suspended in the sky by a web of suspension wiring, encircled by hybrid aircraft.
Look north.
On the platform, a young woman is withdrawing from amphetamines, barbiturates, and alcohol. Yet still she smiles among the crowd, among the great ghosts of the city she's leaving, for another, far south. Smaller, distant, hidden, not like the great chandelier she sees sparkle in the night below her. Streetlights, towers, tenements, and water, and across it a dark strip of ruins, barely visible if she didn't squint her eyes. He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out, day by day, cigarette by cigarette.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? Enough. Take him in. Bend his arms behind his back and end this.
Been looking at anything else you haven't liked?
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar pat-pat-pat of hatred.
More specifically? Yeah, wait. We have more serious things to discuss. More specifically?
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house. Stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst.
How come?
Because of the racists. Everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world. Listening to race-themed radio shows. In the ruins, in their lorries.
He points to the island. He points inland.
Pump full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it.
Mr. Clare?
Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class.
Let's just keep him talking.
Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. In tents, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs.
He keeps shaking his head with sorrow for the sight he missed. That all?
The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cop parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too.
Well, you'll be glad to hear that he's dead.
Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Koyamoran, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children.
I'm gonna say nothing.
That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt Frisell is now dead.
I'm just gonna nod.
We did good when we pushed him under that horse car. If only, in the 30s, those disco whores.
What follows is ominous mumbling. You cannot make out a single word.
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people might be worth investigating.
By the cock parading in his colorful uniform, you mean René? Disco horse, there was something about a statue on the roundabout, and syphilis. Yeah, let's go with that.
Syphilis is a disease Philippe III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination.
Abomination?
The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
He breathes with a wheeze of hatred.
That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic. He was just mad.
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those grotesque statues too. Hundreds of them.
But it's still there.
What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why?
Because he forgot to take it down. Because the king is holy and his statues are indestructible. Say because the king is holy and his statues are indestructible, but mean it ironically. Because cynical advertising yuppies erected a deconstructed version of it. I don't know, because cynical advertisers. Yeah.
That's right. Some advertising cockroaches erected a cynical deconstruction of it. We tore it down with honest working-class plastic explosives. And there it is again.
He shakes his head in disgust.
Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in Yekokata.
Wait, the bullet hole in Philippe's heart. The statue had been shot. That was him. It had to be. He's already proven capable of taking a far more complicated shot from here.
It was you. You shot the statue. There was a bullet hole in its heart.
I did. A needless, sentimental gesture. I should have spared the bullet for a deformed monster of liberal capitalism. Shameful, really.
Yes, shameful. So many others to punish over the years. Isn't that right, detective?
That's it for the statue then. Tell me, Mr. Dross.
The fat union man let them put it there. Corrupt as he is. Probably got a fat check for it too. Shared with the law.
He keeps having opinions about the union's leadership.
You mentioned the union is social democratic and Mr. Clare a farce of a social democrat?
Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy. The true enemy of the proletariat. Placating the masses.
Disappointment. So personal. He displays a familiarity with the union's top brass.
Whose disappointment? Everard Clare?
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation. The smart one.
Edgar.
You mean Edgar, Everard's brother?
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that.
You've talked to Edgar?
First against the wall with him.
He's stopped poking the ash now. Just shakes his head.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course. Maybe the Clears asked him to.
Have you approached them? Mr. Dross, did you... have you approached them?
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains.
He points to the path leading to the tower.
Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left, wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things.
When was this?
20 years ago. Neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clears came to power.
What did you talk about?
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzoff. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzoff. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought.
And he let you be here?
Let me be here? The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy?
Mr. Dross, did you kill the Grenelle mercenary for the Clares to incite a riot?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them, but he's insinuating something.
Okay, I'm gonna go for the other ones first and then do that. I think I'm gonna put another point into logic beforehand though. Logic, where do we have it? Logic, there it is. Level that up. We have so many points in logic now. So many skill points at this point. We can just do that. 92, that's good. By the cock parading his colorful uniform, you mean Renee?
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click, clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A Patank maniac race traitor.
I'm just gonna nod and let him continue on.
I remember him. I remember him from Lanos. Not him personally, his make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. That one.
With his shaky finger, he points to the city toward the crater near the plaza where a lonely pine tree stands.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today. Not even Gaston. Alone.
There's no one there.
Fat and plump. Like a pheasant. Just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Truss. Shoot me.
He whispers with such predatory hunger. It borders on longing.